Ooh, that's kind of loud. Hold on, let's turn this down a bit. Okay, that's much better. Anyway, hello, welcome to Final Fantasy XIII. Now, we've turned the sound down so you can hear me better. Now, this, as you can tell, this was made in 2009. Well, Japanese release was made in 2009, and international was done in 2010. I don't know what the 2014 release is, unless that was the Steam. Yeah, I think that's actually the Steam port. Okay, let me check. Unfortunately, when you tab out in 13, it freezes it in the sense that the audio keeps going, but everything else will pause. So let's take a quick look here. Let's see. Yep, that was the Steam release, October 9th, 2014. They didn't waste much time in getting 13 too, as well as Lightning Returns out there. So anyway, this 13 was the first Final Fantasy game, well, first new Final Fantasy game. And I think it was actually the first one, period, on 7th generation hardware. So it was put on PlayStation 3 and 360, and it was actually, I think, actually the first Final Fantasy since. Let's see. I think it's actually the first Final Fantasy since 6 to release on a non-Sony's console. Because between 1990, let's see, 6 and 7, when Final Fantasy VII came out in the Japanese and international markets, ever since 7. The series had been almost entirely exclusive to Sony hardware. A large majority of the titles were released on PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and then 13 came out on 360 and PS3. There were other stuff like GBA and let's see, PSP releases between 7 and 13, and I think, if I remember correctly, the DS did come out in between that period. I could be wrong though. I'm talking about the original 3D, DS, not the 3DS. So, aside from a handful of titles there's also the GameCube release. I remember that one. I think there's 2 titles on there. I know Crystal Chronicles was, but other than that, Final Fantasy had largely been only on Sony hardware until 13. So. And then they kind of reverted right back to it with, 14, 15. Anyway, so 13 is an ambitious experiment. And we're actually going to be skipping the Chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 1 and 2 are basically just tutorials on the gameplay. So we could easily skip that. And the biggest thing, you can always review a chapter's summary by going into the data log. Not to mention, whenever you load a save, you see this. It will tell you what the story is up to this point. In 13.2, you get voiceovers for this. Now, the thing about 13 is, it was very ambitious because it was meant to be part of a very large Fabulous Crystallis sub-series within the franchise, which were composed of multiple games within the same general setting that 13 is in. And one of those games was called Agito 13, which ended up being in development so long it ended up becoming Final Fantasy 15. And that's his own tragic story, really, that I don't want to get into because we're not playing 15, we're talking about 13. Another one of the Fabulous Crystallis games was Type 0, which did end up getting released, I think, as a PSP game. Again, I could be wrong, but I believe it was a PSP game. And coming from, if you're playing the games, the franchises games in order, you'll probably come to this from either 10 or 12. You'll notice major differences, and the combat system honestly is like a very refined version of 12. The AI is much more intelligent than 12, where you would have to manually configure stuff like accounting for elemental weaknesses or elemental strengths, whereas in 13, that's automatically taken care of. The AI will never use something that an enemy is actually strong against. Read in chat. Yes, actually, Final Fantasy VII has the most games in its sub-franchise. The Compendium of 7 has 6 games and 2 movies. That's not including remake. Right? Or novels and manga set in the 7 setting. 13 has 3 games. It would have had more, but as I just talked about, 15 it ended up becoming its own title instead of staying inside that universe. Now, the Crystarium here is basically, it's the same concept as a Spear Grid, only much more streamlined. And you don't have to deal with things like min-maxing or anything. You have levels, and you have roles that can be leveled up. Now, every single role you have unlocked, you unlock all 6 of them. Okay, so I should explain more about this. First off, every role you unlock, all of these stats count towards your character. Your character's overall stats. So, like if you level up, you'll start out with the same stats and everything, but the roles give bonuses depending on how many are currently out. That's something I'll get into real soon. And these abilities can only be used while actively on that role. So, if you're if you switch to Ravager, you get access to Thunder and so on. If you switch to Commando, you get access to Commando abilities and so on. You do get access to all 6 roles for a character, but each one is actually different. Each character actually has 3 main roles and 3 off roles. Typically speaking, the main roles are the ones that you can level up the most and have the most expansion on them, whereas the sub roles do not. If that makes any sense, it makes more sense as we progress in this game. And the main role is where the ultimate ability is for each character. For example, Lightning's main roles are Commando, Ravager, and if I remember right, Medic. So those 3 will have the most development available to them, whereas her off roles will not. And Ravager is where her ultimate ability, Army of 1, is. And if that sounds familiar, it's because I talked about it during Trials of Mana, with Reese having the Valkyrie class that had the Army of 1 ability. And in 13.2, Lightning becomes a Valkyrie, so it's actually really meta referencing, inside referencing. Okay, so, we have 2 party members that are not here right now. We will get them access to them in time over the story. You think you get your full party around chapter 8 or 9. But for the most part, the game will shift perspectives towards the different party compositions throughout the story until then. Anyway, Vanille's main classes are Ravager, Saboteur, and if I remember right, Medic. Saz, however, has Commando, Synergist, which is not available right now, and Ravager, if I remember right. Hope gets, remember correctly, he is Ravager, Synergist, and Medic, which are already here. You can tell what an off-roll might look like, because the main role will always have the most development in it, as you can see with these available crystals. And as I was saying, this looks, you can tell it's a better version of the Spear Grid. It's a lot less of a fucking hassle. I'll tell you that right now. You don't have to worry about clearing nodes. It's just get Crystarium points, spin it in there, and you can automatically progress towards it. When we get some CP, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, for the other 2 people not in here, one is Sentinel, Commando, and Synergist. No, wait. I think she's... Let me think. It's been so damn long, I actually don't remember. She might actually be Commando. Yeah, no, I think she is Commando, Synergist, and Sentinel. And the other one is Commando, Ravager, and Sentinel. Now, let's explain some of these classes. This is basically how you make you could change your party comp on the fly. You don't have to go out of combat change, then go back in. You can actually change it on the fly by using preset decks. Paradigms are basically the roles, and you can see what I'm talking about with the roles having different bonuses. Ravager is really good if you have an enemy in Stagger. Stagger is basically okay, if you remember, if you were here during the Trials of Mana playthroughs, the bosses in that game had a blue DPS check. And the DPS check, if you cleared it, it stunned them. This is a similar concept here with Stagger. Stagger will, if you meet the threshold, it will actually increase how much damage the boss takes by a percentage as indicated on the Stagger. In some special bosses or enemies, you need to max out the Stagger gauge in order to actually take them down quickly before they become a threat. Now, Relentless Assault here is one of the best ones. Okay, well. Okay, so we don't actually have much diversity right now for, trying to remember. Okay, yeah, delete. Okay, what? Alright, so unfortunately, since, I'm using a 360 controller, it's not quite showing the, button prompts, so I'm going to have to guess off memory here. And anyway, reading chat, the Spirit Grid was very large, and I think that was actually a huge problem with it. It made navigating it very hard for anybody who has not played 10 before. 10 in many ways was a beginner to the franchise friendly game, but at the same time it was also much more rewarding for hardcore min-max optimizers. And like I said, the Crystarium does not have this problem of being too huge to navigate. Anyway, let's take a look at the data log. And yeah, as you progress through the story, more and more things get unlocked. So Ragnarok is one of the big plot points to this game, and it gets more obvious. It gets revealed later on in the story what exactly it is. So I'm not going to spoil it, but we'll get to it in time. And basically, see, these are basically many checkpoints inside a story. It's not like a checkpoint in terms of saving, but it's basically telling you which way you go. And, the first chapter is basically you're on the Hanging Edge, which is the opening dungeon of the game. And you're having to deal with Psychom, which is the main antagonist force. But basically, superpowered military. Well, augmented military is more like it. Chapter 2 is exploring inside a Pulse Fal'Cie. Fal'Cie are the equivalents of gods in the setting. They're more like primals from 14 than they are, anything else. What they can do is brand somebody to make them into an unwilling servant. This also becomes the kind of a plot point in later games. We'll get to that in time because we are going to go to 13.2 as well as Lightning Returns, and there's more revealed in those two games than there is here about the nature of Fal'Cie and l'Cie. l'Cie are what the party is. They're branded by Fal'Cie to complete a focus, which for most of the game does not really make itself known. Yeah, there we go. So a big thing is about the focus. The focus is not always clear to a l'Cie. So most of the time they are trying to figure out what it is. And for Mercury, we don't actually get access to Snow until near the end of Chapter 3. Yes, but so long I just remember this is like a save game I prepped for future playthroughs. Huh. Okay, so... Huh. So this is what I was talking about with being able to shift in battle, you know, on the fly.
Stay sharp.
And every time you switch to a different you know, paradigm deck, you get your ATB refreshed. This is actually key for late game, you know, battles and such. So an ATB refresh trick that works in the first game but not in 13.2 is to set up duplicates of certain strong paradigm decks. Okay, so here's something you can do. You can actually bring up a enemy's information on the fly using, well, by default here it is the right trigger. And you can see a stagger point if you know it, as well as chain resistance. Chain resistance is what it says. The closer it is to 0, the easier it is to stagger. And the more you fight an enemy, the more you learn about it. You can also use a Libra, either via the ability or an item to get 100% off an enemy from the start. That can actually be very useful later on in the game. And he's staggered, so he's taking extra damage. As you can see, it's spiked hard. And unfortunately, it will not tell you when you have enough to advance. You have to manually keep an eye on it yourself. So this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago about how it works. You just get Crystarium points, press your direction, and let it go. And also something interesting, important to note about the Crystarium grid is, no matter how much you develop your active party, the rest of your party will actually have those benefits. In the sense that it works like the LP system in 12, that a party, party members who are not in the party yet, as per the story, will receive the same LP, as they got if they were actually there. A similar concept works here. All the Crystarium points you gain will be transferred, will be available on characters who are not present in the party at any time in the story. This is also true when you have your full party, that a person does not have to be in the actual party in order to gain it, which can be very useful if you have a very good, strong core composition, but at the same time you need to deal with, them being too weak to survive something. Let's see. I think we got Ravager back. Okay, yeah. And you can see Hope was not in the active party, so he got the same amount as if he was. This could be very big. Again, if you're struggling with some characters being too weak to be in active combat. And this also pays off for people who have not been introduced yet in the story, because our 5th and 6th party members, one is Snow and the other one has not been seen it yet, at least because we did not do the tutorial. That's how this works. Both Snow and the last party member will be benefited from any grinding you do in between now and receiving as permanent party members.
They must be hunting down Purge survivors.
I hope everyone made it out okay.
So do I. But nowhere is safe for them now. Damn it. Just cause they shared a neighborhood with a foul sea.
So the purge basically kicks off whenever LaCie are detected in somewhere. You know, if you wonder what a purge is, basically look at the Imperium of Man. It's the same concept here. Any tainted chaos, they will get out the flamethrowers. Same thing here.
All scared of post-boogeymen. They'd be shaking in their beds every night if they knew that LaCie like us were around.
But they purged that entire town.
It's crazy, I know. But the Sanctum Foul Sea did nothing to stop it. Up until now, Eden's always stepped in to correct their errors in judgment. Guess humans aren't worth the effort. Figure they'll let us just kill each other off.
LaCie are not human.
Listen, you, that's enough.
So, LaCie's brand can appear on any part of the body. Sal's there has his on his chest.
Still alive.
Hope has one on his left hand. And Vanilla's is on her left thigh.
What?
Where is it?
I don't know.
I can't remember where Lightning's is. Remember correctly, hers is on her chest too.
Trying to trap the stragglers. We gotta get moving before we're caught in the net.
Oh, let's see. Okay, we should be. Yeah, there's the map. Okay, yeah, I remember now. That save point is. Yeah, back here's where you can go back and forth and grind a bit in order to get starting points before the major fighting. So okay, I remember now. Okay, where'd the mini map go? Let me see if I can find it. Like we had a mini map here. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, and I should talk about this. This is actually something that could be very useful in mid to late game fights as well as boss battles. This could be used to evade really tough spawns, and this is really good for getting a huge edge and not having to waste time buffing. Oh, okay, there it is. I must have pressed it. Hit the minimap hide button. Apparently, select button does that, and I don't remember. Ooh, camera's a little bit sensitive. So combat, how to initiate works differently in the 13 games than it did in previous ones. Like 12, is you can see your enemies potential enemies on the open world. Oh, that's not what. And at the same time, you can actually dodge them by moving quickly enough. Alright, so Snow, I think maybe wasn't a part at the start, and then he left when we got to that save point. It's been many years since I did this. And also, every time you get a ATB, every time you get a certain Crystarium level upgrade, you get an ATB. You can also spend Crystarium points on ATB upgrade towards I think level 9 or 10 in Crystarium. And I think there might be a couple before then too. But remember correctly, you actually have a brief invulnerability. Sorry, you're briefly invulnerable during paradigm shifts, which can be used, to your advantage if you time it just right. Again, I believe that was the case. Oh, and I should talk about the items here. You can actually upgrade them over time. There's actually, okay. So weapons are interesting in 13 because there's, I think, 3, maybe 4 different types of each weapon. There's okay. They also evolve into different versions of the ultimate weapon. Now, if I remember correctly, there's 3. Okay, so there should be 3, maybe 4 different types. You got your one that is pure damage orientation. Then you got one that is pure magic orientation. And then you have one that has stagger luck on it. But it's supposed to be, it's like one of the best overall ones. It's been so long I can't be sure about the 4th one. But I remember there's at least 3 different types. And it actually mattered heavily on which one you picked. Because some characters are actually extremely good with specific types. And you can look at the general stats to get the idea. This is a more damage-oriented one, whereas the Blazefire Saber, which is Lightning's iconic weapon, is more balance-oriented, as you can see by the magic increase. Oh, and if you equip certain items, as well as weapons, you can get some combos, like you see here underneath the passive. Physical wall means you ignore damage, damage by default. So, like if an enemy does 10 damage, you ignore 5, and they only take 5. This can actually be increased by things such as Sentinel abilities. So, with the right combo, a Sentinel can be fucking invincible. Let's see. Okay, we haven't got any other weapons, huh? Ah. Right. Vaguely remember now. Now, something to note about these little animations is that, might as well give him that. So, something to note about the animations is these come from cutscenes in the game. Hope, Vanille, and Saw's all come from early game. Cutscenes. I remember correctly, they all come from Chapter 1 ones. It's cutscene. This Lightning's comes from one later on in the game. I think in Chapter 6 or 7. Let's see. I want to put another Relentless Assault here for the ATB refresh. And we might as well go ahead and level up again. Let's see. Almost. So look, the stat gains right now are really weak, but that's expected. And in late game, you get stuff like plus 500 hit points or plus 50 strength, so on. I'm just spitballing there because I can't actually remember, but the stat gains late game are very huge. And by default, you get break hit point limit, and you have to have equip an item to get access to break damage limit. So it's actually interesting which way the series is going to go at this point, because if you look at 13 and then 14, by default, these two both incorporate break hit point limit, with 14 have a break damage limit already in it by default. And in 12, well, with later versions of 12, they incorporated break damage limit by default on that one too. Reading chat, how do you know when you have enough? Okay, so basically you have to keep checking every now and then. It actually tells you, you know, how much it is to a level. If you look right here, wait, that's wrong. We have to look. Okay. So if you look down near the bottom where it says Crystarium and what stage it is and the crystal's attribute, it tells you how much you have. So here we have 16, which means we need to get 64 more CP before we can level up. Oh, yeah, let's put another one of these in. So Relentless Assault is a pretty good standard one that works with almost every single party comp. Tri-Disaster is one that's really good, but you need the enemy in stagger first to really take advantage of it, because Ravagers are great at building chain, but they're fucking horrible at actually keeping it. So you need a commando in there to keep it. And I could have sworn you could actually attack to get jump on some of these enemies. So something I didn't talk about yet with the roles is basically, you know, there are 6 types, and the easiest way is to describe them in basic terms. Commando is your main attacker, and it, you know, once you have the triple commando paradigm unlocked, it's going to be your biggest damage against a staggered enemy. That's at max stacks, because that's where a lot of your DPS is coming from. Medic is healer. That's pretty self-explanatory. Has healing mostly, and very few buffs. Saboteur is your debuffer, and a good Saboteur can actually make a lot of things, including the final boss battle, a lot easier. Because when we get to that, I'll explain why having a very good Saboteur for the final battle is absolutely hilarious. Okay, so in Synergist is your buffer. They have very few attacks that are actually, you know, they're mostly there just to buff and then quickly switch into an attack, you know, one. Ravager is your spellcaster. They're more like, you know, they're a combination of spells and spell sword like abilities, because some like lightning and another one of the party members will have you know, elemental attack moves like Spark Strike or Flame Strike and so on. Let's see, Sentinel is your tank class. And I think that's all of them, right? Yeah, it should be all of them. So if I remember correctly, it was actually the first game in the series that incorporated jumping on this level. 10-2 had it, and it came out earlier, but I don't think it was anywhere near as expensive as it was in 13, because they really sought to take advantage of the new hardware available via PlayStation 3. We're getting attacked by a goddamn motorcycle, by the way. And believe it or not, this will not be the last time this happens. God, it's taking a while, huh?
Stay sharp.
Also, something to notice is you get full healed after a fight. Almost there. And there's a save point up ahead. Can't get anything new right now. Don't have the money for it. So one of the biggest complaints I saw people have about 13 versus 10, which I don't think is a really valid one, and I'll explain why in a moment. One of the biggest complaints is that you felt like the world was on a railroad, and let's go ahead and make a new save. So one of the biggest complaints is it felt like it was on a railroad that was a corridor simulator. There's a doubly funny when it comes from someone who missed it. The first game in the series was 10. Because that game wasn't just as bad about it, but it was more clever about hiding it. Whereas 13 is honest about it. I think that's the biggest problem with that one. That argument is that 13 was honest, 10 lied about it. And they talk about, there's not many NPCs out here to interact with or anything. Well, I mean, your future's on the run. Who would you be interacting with? Other than absolutely, core story people who are actually, brave enough to interact with somebody that's an open criminal. Like, you can just tell you can tell if they bitch about the lack of interactions making the world seem alive while talk about 10. They started with 10 and they're full of shit. Like, I will call out people on that. It's a bad argument that's made with really shitty logic, and it deliberately ignores that 10 had the same problem that they think 13 has. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this during the 10 playthrough, but it's actually a huge problem that if you have a small amount of NPCs in a world that have almost no bearing on the story, that advance almost nothing, that's not helping your case.
Did Sarah say anything to you about her focus?
Nothing.
You know what? She probably didn't want to worry you.
Or she just didn't think she could trust me.
Oh.
Okay. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. So I'm trying to remember if there was a button or not where you could actually jump an enemy ahead of time. I guess not. I'm sure I'll remember in time. Let's see. Oh. So you get Libra unlocked on all characters at some point. I think it's very early on that you can unlock it for each character. And only the lead party member can actually use techniques and such. This is actually a big part of the story, or rather, the gameplay mechanics. Because for the most part, until I think chapter 9 or 10, you can't actually change your party members out freely, nor your party lead. This doesn't. In 13 had one of the biggest problems with this is that 13 operated off if the party member leader gets KO'd, you're fucked. And this could be a problem because at some points the party leaders are very fragile. Let's see. I think we have enough now. Yep. Okay, we got that one up. So extra hit points, good. Anyway, your Custarium grid is locked off towards story progression. You know, over time it'll become more and more unlocked. With the biggest upgrade being once you beat the final bosses, you get another upgrade, which allows you to tackle things like a super bosses of the game. As well as it lets you replay the final in-game segment, and it's an attempt to earn achievements. Okay, so 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns all have an achievement for each game. That if you complete the final boss, with a 5-star rating, you get an achievement for that. Doing it on the first run is extremely hard because after you clear the game the first time with that save, you get bonuses and such unlocked. Like in the 13, you get access to the final Custarium level, for example. I can't remember what it was for 13. 2 and Lightning Returns gets you New Game Plus, which allows you a better chance of stacking your stats up in order to challenge the final boss more easily. You get that 5-star. Reading chat, yeah, X might be it. I'll try that next time we get a chance to get into a battle. Because you could be right. The cross button. I think it is that too. Since it's going off to 360. Okay, I remember correctly, a problem with 13 and 13.2's Steam versions, maybe the Lightning as well. It shows the PS3 prompts. Even if you're not using a PS3 pad. So you have to think what the PS3 one is, and if you have never actually used the PS3 one, well, it's a common problem with a lot of the 7th generation ports. It's not just a problem with the Final Fantasy ones, but it's a problem with a lot of the ports of games that were originally released on PS3. That they did not update the prompt, and we actually saw this issue in the HD remaster of 10.2, where it was showing PlayStation 2 prompts, even though it's a remaster that was released originally on PlayStation 3. And the shit gets confusing if you're using a 360 pad, because the cross button on PS3 is not the cross button on 360. The shit is annoying. And you can actually tell when that's a lazy port when the fucking fans have to mod that shit to fix it. So yeah, big problem there. But we'll try that. And I think you can't actually... Yeah, okay. The X button brings out the menu, so that can't be it. I think it's actually the A button on 360. Also, you'll notice the areas and such are much more seamless in transition. Like if you go back and forth in an area, it'll tell you that in the lower right instead of providing a big pop-up or something. Yeah, you won't have to look at the map to figure it out. It will actually tell you. Now, an advanced trick you can try doing is this. Switching to a Ravager one, spiking the staggered, and switching to a commando paradigm in order to lock it. So we spiked it up really quickly, and it decays a lot faster if you don't have a commando there. So you need a commando in a paradigm in order to keep the slow down the decay. So if you have a like an advanced party or something, you can try spiking it to stagger point, but you have to be very quick because you see it decays a lot faster. And if you're dealing with a high chain resistance enemy, this may not work too well. So once you get more used to the battle system, it becomes easier to understand some of these little nuances. And if you get close to a chest, a treasure orb, you can actually hear it, making the noises. This is actually, a really good, nice quality of life that I wish they incorporated into more games. Okay, so I don't think you can actually, get the jump on enemies without using Deceptive Assault, sadly. Fortunately, there are late game shops, secret shops that sell these, the assault sprays. So yeah, it's not that big a deal, but early on you want to save them, just in case you're having trouble with an area or a boss. Because until you get the secret shop unlocked in Chapter 10, yeah, you're kind of in trouble. And they are absolutely necessary for dealing with some of the super bosses as well as some of the strongest enemies. Alright, let's get her up. And also, something I didn't talk about more about the paradigms. Let's see. Alright, maybe. Okay, we need to go try to generate a deck to get to pull it up. Okay, or just look at this. Okay. So, augmented healing. The more you have of a role in the paradigm, the more this bonus gets increased. So like let's say you have 2 medics or 3 medics, then your healing will increase by I think it's like 0.5 per medic. So you would have I'm going to guess it's between 0.5 to a full-on 100%. So 50% to 100% with augmented healing. And I believe this bonus actually increases the more you level up the role. And you see the same with the improved chaining. Like we said, like I was saying with the Tri-Disaster, you can spike a stagger gauge quickly, but it will decay very, very fast. Without a commando there to slow it down. Okay, that's right. He doesn't have access to any other ones right now. Okay, yeah, you cannot change your battle team, unfortunately, for a long time. Okay, I could have just pulled up the the stats the entire time. That's on me. So look at Hope. You got extended enhancements. If I remember correctly, the synergist, triple synergist, basically is speed buffing your party real quick. And I think the more you have out when the buffs go out, the longer they last. Augmented attacks is basically what it says. When you have a triple commando team, that's the highest damage you can have in a paradigm, and it's usually only used when you have an enemy in stagger, because that the quicker you get them stagger, the more damage they do when in full commando. And there are, commandos are very poor at increasing stagger gauge, but they're extremely good at maintaining it. Okay, don't think there's any treasure chests over there. Up there it is. So basically, you want to try to find every single treasure chest you can when you get to an area, because a lot of these areas are unrevisitable. You cannot come back to them, you know, barring some very obvious exceptions in the late to mid game. Well, mid to late game rather. And as you can see, for for Final Fantasy, this game is no slouch in the graphics department. It's very pretty. So once you get an enemy into a stagger, the gauge decays slowly, and you can use it as an opportunity to switch into Tri-Disaster and spike it to hell and back. Then switch to a commando, paradigm, and smack the shit out of them. Okay, our paradigms are, crystariums are maxed out right now. Generally speaking, you get, crystarium upgrades after major events, usually boss battles. Okay. And you also get access to other worlds for them to unlock as well. Okay, I'm trying to, let's see. Okay, Christ. Okay, I'm trying to, without the button prompts on the screen, it's really hard to tell what the trigger button is to actually move on to the next character. I guess it's the L1 and R1. Ugh. I don't know why it's not showing though. I'm going to have to look into that sometime. Because I could have sworn when I played this years ago, it showed up just fine, but maybe because when I played this years ago, it was actually with a PlayStation 3 controller. And I don't know how it is nowadays, but by default, PlayStation 3 and 4 controllers are not normally native to Windows 10. And when I was on Windows 7 at the time. So even then, they weren't native there either. But nowadays, 360 pad, or rather, an Xbox One, easy compatibility. You don't have to download no goddamn voodoo drivers. You don't have to sacrifice, a chicken. You don't have to pray to the dark gods to get it fucking working. And believe me, it was not a fun time back in the day. Yeah, that was, it was not a fun time because you have to use, third-party drivers to get a PS3 controller working, on top of it being kind of, shady sites, if I remember right. Nowadays, this is not a big problem. Because as far as I know, in Windows 10, controller support is built in for 8th generation, consoles and newer. And it's a lot easier to get working with a 360 or Xbox One controller than it is, PlayStation 1. So yeah, it sucked back in, back when I played this years ago. It was horrible. Damn kids got it easy nowadays. Excuse me, I gotta go find my cane. Start getting it ready to be shaking at these whippersnappers. And something I gotta talk about with Lightning is, I think compared to the heroines of the previous games, like Yuna, Garnet, Tifa, Lightning was a bitch, straight up a bitch from the start, and that was so goddamn refreshing, especially since she's a lead character. Like, not only is she the lead character, she's effectively the main character. You know, 13. She's on the cover art for all three, Lightning trilogy games, which are 13, 12, 2, and Returns. So not only is she on the cover, she is officially the main character for 13. You know, in another media like the Cydia. And depending on how you view it, she may actually be the first one in the series to be the absolute main character that was also female because, ooh, die, damn it! Damn, these guys are tougher than I thought. Okay, never mind, he's down. So, because if you look at the previous Final Fantasy up to this point, the main character was always a male. The main player character was a male. Like, okay, let's look at 4, Cecil. 5, Bartz. 6, now 6 is a very disputed one because any of the characters could have been the main character. However, the recognized main character is Terra because she's always used to represent 6 in media like Dissidia. So, by Square's definition, Terra's the main character. However, any of them could have been the main lead because they all had pretty decent screen time, except I would argue Mog and Imaro. Let's see. Get Hope maxed out. Oh, I thought he still had some more to go. Okay, everybody's maxed out, so we can't really... There's not much point in grinding unless you want to prepare ahead of time. Okay, so if you manage to catch an enemy before they can turn around, you get a free preemptive strike, which puts them at stagger point. Excuse me. This could be actually incredibly useful on certain enemies late game, like the Behemoth Kings. Again, if you use the Septisol, you get guaranteed preemptive strike. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, look at 7. 7 was Cloud, undisputably. He's the guy you control most of the game. And 8, Squall. 9, Zidane. 10, Titus. You could argue Yuna was the first one, but 10-2, well, I said before that 10 and 10-2 are two sides of the same story of Spira. Then you have 11, which is in MMO, so you can't really say that. MMOs have different. Have the player as the main character, but have an official recognized NPC as their representative. Like with 11 is Shantaro most of the time. 14 gets you Stola. In 15, you had Noctis as the main lead. But yeah, if you don't count 10-2, and you kind of you kind of have to ignore 6 because of what I was saying a few minutes ago. If you take those two into account, oh shit, better go. If we take those two into account, Lightning is the first main character, main lead of a main series game that's also female because of these conditions. But I don't think it's now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's really fair. But either way, I do think the point about what I was saying about her versus the previous female leads is very valid. Most of them were kind of damsel in distress or wayfish. Lightning, a straight up bitch. And she actually has very good reason for it that's explored a lot in 13. And it's not explored much in 13-2. But both of these games feed into Lightning Returns, where it's fully explained why she is such a bitch. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm trying to get some of these. Okay, there we go. Got cleared off. Trying to get that off the screen. So here, this is the Bastari. You can see what what the rare drops are. And I remember correctly, there was no achievement for maxing out the Pistari here. Anyway, should be getting really close to the bosses in this area. Keep forgetting you have to go to here to see the map. Let's see. Now let's try to get around these guys. Running is kind of like 12. We gotta keep running, moving until they stop giving chase. Hey, how the hell did they get over there? I thought they were following, lightning. Camera I'm gonna see if I can change the camera around a bit because it can be kind of wonky sometimes. All right. You can also change, changing it to easy is actually not a bad idea in certain spots because apparently it affects the item drop rate, so you can make it easier to farm certain items if you really need to from tougher enemies that drop good loot. And if you have to put it on hard, if I remember correctly, in 13.2 and Lightning Returns for better loot drops. So let's see, where the hell is the camera? I guess there isn't a camera speed, huh? Huh. I've had bought looking at this. Let's see. Doesn't actually say. Okay, so it actually does convert to 360 controls. It just won't show up properly on the button prompts in the menus. Let's see. Okay, so there isn't an attack button, I guess. I know in 13.2 in Lightning Returns you could jump the enemies this way. At least I'm pretty sure you could in 13.2. I remember correctly, it is actually a bigger thing in in Lightning Returns. First, we're gonna ignore these enemies. Keep moving. God damn! See that shit with the fucking Matrix. So these big boys here are kind of tough, for this point in the game. Let's see. Okay, didn't go through, I guess. There we go. Okay, so something to note about the Executioner family. I think they're actually called Wardens. But one of the biggest things about them is their rare drops usually sell very nicely for the area of the story that they appear in. In the late game, they drop extremely valuable items and can be easily farmed. And the mineral drops, like the millerite they drop, is actually required for level 2 upgrades of certain weapons. Like millerite. Well, actually, if I remember correctly, millerite is used to unlock level 2s for certain weapons. Not every single party member uses the same mineral upgrade to unlock their next level. So that's an important thing to note, is not everybody uses the same mineral. Some will use different ones. They all use one of the same key components, though, for unlocking the ultimate form. Ah, damn. We just straight ran right through them. We got our Nikes on. We dodged that shit. Can't touch this. Oh, that's a hell of a lot. Bunga bunga time. Damn, that was way too risky. You know, if you die in a battle, if you get a wipe in a battle, it's actually not game over, typically speaking, because you get the option to retry a battle, which puts you back outside the contact point and allows you to go either get the hell out of the way or go somewhere else. So game overs in 13 are harder to get than other games, thanks to the retry function. Also, if enemies detect you, you can't open chests or anything. And the battle shift screen will show you what kind of encounter you're getting. That blue one indicates we got to jump on them, so we got a preemptive strike.
Don't you think we ought to be heading this way?
Shut the fuck up. I like how that warden executioner just swaggered up, like, yeah, come swing at me, motherfucker. See what happens. And you know, people talk. You know, I hear a lot of talk about. Or I've seen a lot of talk in the past about how 13 needs a remaster, like 10 got. And honestly, look at the game. Look at the graphics here. This is a game that was made in 2010 with 2022 hardware. It still looks good. It still looks like a newer game, doesn't it? You know, this looks honestly, I think I could say this game looks like it was made in 2016 with these graphics. It's why I don't think, you know, 13 Trilogy really needs a remaster. If anything, it just needs you know, bug fix, you know, quality life and bug fixes. You know, that you could expect from a remaster. Also, if you reliably get, you can reliably get, you know, 5 stars if you go underneath the target time. Now, target time can actually be gamed incredibly easily because mostly the target time scales off your weapons. So, like, if you have maxed out weapons, then your target time is going to be extremely low because it's basically scaling off that, and it's expecting that unless you screw up somehow, that you should not have trouble taking out, whatever you're in the battle with high-level weapons.
You gotta stop worrying, Sass. We outran him.
And Vanilla is way too damn optimistic. Libra scopes are great if you don't have access to a Libra user. There are periods of time where you don't have access to that in the skill tree, you know, in the Crystarium. But yeah, back to what I was saying earlier, I do not think it needs a full-on remaster like what 10 got. I think it mostly just needs quality life and bug fixing. And to tell you the truth, I don't actually know which quality life or bug fixing would be really useful, other than fixing the damn button prompts. Because you can look at this with, you know, this is, you know, modern hardware, and it looks like it was made in 2016 as opposed to being a 12-year-old game. Well, 13 really. And that's not an intentional joke, you know. It is 13 years since it originally came out of Japan. But this is the North American version, so it's been 12 years since that came out. And I remember playing this on PlayStation originally. And on an HD TV, god damn was it great. And also Libra works on everybody except very specific characters or bosses, I think. So, and also you can tell what the boss's hit points are this way too. So you can see it's weak against Arrow, which we do have on Saws. Easy peasy.
It's charging up.
Charging? What are you talking about? Charging for what?
Its last moments.
Oh, right. Phase 2. Ah, yeah. Also, low. Okay, so something I don't remember. I don't think the level actually mattered much for characters because you know you don't have traditional levels like in say 10-2 or 14. So I don't remember how the levels for enemies actually mattered. Wait, why am I using... Oh, crap. Woo, that was close. So let's see. 200%, 80%, 80 resist. Okay, he's still weak against, like, arrow. Yeah, wind. Reading chat, yeah, I agree. It's too well made. You know, you could tell they were really. Let's see. If I remember correctly, it came out midway through the PlayStation 2's lifespan, but you could tell they were really doing very nicely on utilizing the hardware available. Okay, so here is what we get for upgrades, or rather for items. Now, storyline wise, you get upgrades. You get access to new shops through boss kills at set storyline points, so you can't miss it. There are secret shops that are unlocked as part of optional stuff in Chapter 10. And for boss drops, if it says if an enemy says no drop for either common or rare, that means you are not guaranteed that. Boss drops will always be there. But yeah, as you saw there was no rare drop, but there was a common drop of silver bangle. Bosses will always drop their common drop, and I think unless it says there's a rare drop, then you will not get a rare drop. Otherwise, yeah, we just got the iron bangle. Wait, no, not iron, silver. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I tapped out to check something, but yeah, so I guess it changed the thing around to be black screen. But as you can see, we now have access to new roles. This happens only when you reach certain story milestones. Like, here we kill a boss. Now we have Saboteur for Vanille and Synergist for Saz. Now, the ultimate abilities for characters are locked on. You do not get access to them until near the end of the game. On top of, they are only on the character's absolute main role. I should explain what I mean by that. There are three types of roles. You got main role, which allows for maximum Castellarium growth. You got off role, which does not, and you have absolute main role, which is one of their main roles, and it has their ultimate ability. Lightning's is under Ravager. Snow's is under Sentinel. Vanille's is under Saboteur. If I remember correctly, Saz is actually under Ravager. Hope's is under Ravager 2, if I remember right. While the last character's is under Commando. It's been so long, but I'm not 100% sure on it, but we'll unlock it as part of the story anyway.
This'll make things easier.
Yeah, knowing our luck, it's probably missing an engine.
You shouldn't be so negative.
And you shouldn't get your hopes up.
So it's worth taking note of that owl, because this is a character that shows up repeatedly. And here, Snow is still dicking around there. So yeah, this is something we missed by loading the save. As noted by the day log, Snow decided to stay and try freeing Sarah from it. Now, something about the crystal stasis that comes from what happened to her is you cannot break it normally. Pulse Lacy this.
You gonna lend me a hand or what?
Now here's we should get an opportunity, I think, to open the menu. If not, well, I'm going to show you a little trick for certain segments where you don't have access to your control. Or rather, you don't have access to party members that get into solo instances. Also, you can actually skip cutscenes. By the way, I'm not skipping it here, but I just wanted to point this out. 10.2 introduced it formally into the series. 12 had it as well, and so does 13. Now, if you hit the retry button, we're going to do this because this actually allows us, should allow us access to the main menu. Yes. Okay, so if you get into a segment like this where you have not been able to level up a character in a while, you want to retry. Because now, yep, see? He now has access to nothing because, yeah. But we do have level 2 Crystarium for the others. It's weird that he can't actually do anything. Cause, like, he should have gotten an upgrade. But you can actually change his gear around. Don't worry, this part is actually really hard to lose. Let's see. We should probably keep that on him for now. You know, if for some reason you didn't have him developed, you could actually fix it now. And also, if the paradigms will change their name depending on whether or not there's one person in it, 2 people, or 3. Right now, we just have 1 person, so it shows the roles. You know, you can also cancel your turns early in order to build up more gauge. You have to do it. You have to time it to where it takes 1 command at least.
What's he doing? Watch yourself. Stay alert.
And what Snow is doing is summoning the fucking cavalry. I like how they just fell over like fucking Power Rangers. And if you might have noticed, this will be our last party member who does not join us for a long time. As you may have noticed from the save games. So, it's easier for me to show the tutorial here than to try to explain. Basically, each Eidolon is tailored to the summoner, and only that person can summon it. You cannot change this around. It's hard-coded into the game, as well as the story, that only... you know, once you defeat him, only that person can actually summon. So you get a Doom counter at the start. So, you know, this is the only time it tells you what the effective roll is against, the Eidolon. You have to use Libra otherwise if you didn't already know it. The biggest hint you can have is it's always the rolls of the character that has prompted the summoning. So when you for lightning, it'll always be lightning's rolls, and so on. And the doom counter is always very generous. Okay, so it's not going to show us, I guess. Like it should be shown. Oh, I bet you it's actually glitched because of using a 360, whatever this weird glitch is. It should be showing, you know, the information. But I bet you that's actually a glitch. Ah, whack. Actually, I wonder. Let me tab out and see if I can try to fix this. You know, I could just pull up the Bastari. Let's see here. Let's see. This is Nyx. Let's see, Bastari. Okay, other information. Yields to those who amass chain bonuses. Yields to those who defend against and endure attacks. Cannot be provoked. So I bet you it's some kind of weird glitch with tabbing in and out. Because it should actually be showing, but I don't know why it's not. Actually, I'm going to Google this real quick. Let's see. Okay, so let's see, text data. It is a bug apparently. Looks like it's a resolution bug. That's kind of really dumb. Apparently this is actually an old bug too. Let's see. Yeah, apparently this is actually a really bad bug. One that never got. See, this is what I was talking about bug fixes and such. Like, damn. Let's see. Yeah. So I don't think there's actually any real way to fix this because of the resolution, which is really unfortunate, you know. You know, I'll try, you know, before next session to see if I can find a way to adjust it. But I don't want to try to make any promises on it because I don't think it's, you know, fixable about third-party stuff, which I don't have no idea about. But normally speaking, you would see information there. Also, isn't it kind of weird that, you know, it's Shiva, an ice elemental, we're using ice attacks against her. And nobody thinks this might be weird? Also, don't be too afraid of the timer. Because generally speaking, the Eidolons don't normally kill you unless you take too long to build a gauge. See, it's almost built up. Basically, go to Sentinel when she attacks. And now we got Gestalt mode. So this is the alternate version of the Eidolons. They can turn into vehicles. And well, we can't actually access, let's see, no, I think actually the next Eidolon is the first one we can actually use in combat, because Snow doesn't become part of the party again for a few more chapters after this. Oh, and every time you get an Eidolon unlocked, you get an ATB gauge increase for that person. But yeah, I think actually the next Eidolon is the one we can actually access mechanically for the first time.
Twin sisters. I gotta hand it to you for taking them down, but don't gloat just yet. Might come a time you wish you'd let them end it, and made things easy.
And here's something I don't think it's ever actually explained: how the fuck she actually knew about the Eidolons were. Like late game, yes, she will comment about what their function is, but I don't know if it's ever actually explained how she knew about them before then, and why she knew so much. I don't think it's ever actually explained. That always bugged the hell out of me.
Shut up and come quiet.
Bring her this way! Careful now! Come on! Sarah? Sarah! Shut it.
Stand down.
You two. Why are you helping them?
If I were you, I'd worry about myself.
Okay, so Sarah, given the given the existence of 13-2 lightning returns, we obviously know Sarah will, by the end of this game, be recovered because she's the main lead. She's the main female lead of 13-2, and it's the character you're most likely going to be controlling most of the time anyway. So in terms of the late arrival trope, yeah, it's a spoiler talk about, she's a walking spoiler because obviously we know she recovers.
We got one of them. They're still behind us.
Stop that! Hey! I said stop! You wanna die?
How are you gonna lose them?
You got me, kid.
Then let me.
No, thank you. They're still on us? We're taking hits. Come on, give me a break. Hang on. For the love of all that's good. Huh?
Next, an update on the status of the purge.
Just moments ago, the Sanctum announced the successful conclusion of the Purge, along with the safe arrival of the cocoon migrants to their new homes on Pulse.
Yes, that is correct. There's no denying the enormity of the strain the Purge placed on us all.
Anyway, this guy is Primarch Daisley, who is also pretty much the Pope. He pretty much serves as the Pope, but not as religious. And you know what that means when there's a Pope character in a Square game? They will be an unbelievable asshole. Don't believe me? Go ask 14 players about Dordan. Or if you want to get older than that, go ask the Tactics players about, High Confessor Funeral. I think that's how the retranslated name is pronounced. In the original game, it's Funeral, so yeah, go figure. But yeah. Pope character in a Final Fantasy game, highly likely to be an asshole. Because Square hates religion.
Who is this guy?
I mean, what do they teach kids these days? He is Gallant Daisley, the Sanctum Primarch. Murderer-in-Chief.
According to our Insta
Just
poll,
another
nearly 90%
tool
of
of the
the
foul
Cocoon
sea.
citizens agree with the Sanctum's handling of the Purge. 70% of respondents said they would also support additional purges were the need to arise.
Jesus. They're fucking bloodthirsty.
That'll fix it. Oh, hey. Points for perseverance. A sanctified sea up close and personal. Cocoon's own light in the sky. Here we go again.
Fly in. We'll lose him in there.
So, religion in 13 is kind of interesting. It's somewhere in between religion as we saw in games like 10 and 12 and not being religion. There's a creator figure that made the Foul Sea, and the Foul Sea can make servants that are called Lissi. And they don't the non-Lissi, they don't worship or anything yet. These Foul Sea are godlike beings. So it's kind of interesting and at the same time a little bit confusing. Anyway, you do get the traditional pop-ups like this, when you enter a new area, but entering sub-areas like what we saw a little while ago at the start, well, you have a little right-hand side pop-up that does it better. So you don't have to look at a map to figure out if you're there. It'll automatically tell you.
Hey, wake up! You gotta wake up! Look!
Seriously, you're gonna miss out on the fun. Get down there.
Hey, slow down. Gotta keep you kids safe, right?
Bunch of wussies. Send us big dogs, not these puppies.
Man, I'm beat. What? No break?
They're tracking us.
I know that, but we aren't soldiers. We don't have
You are now.
You got enough to complain.
Oh, that's... Forget it!
I think,
I'd stick with her if I were you.
later then.
So this is one of the main party splits in the game. You know, Saz and Vanille will be off on their own trying to, you know, get out of there. And Lightning will be accompanied by Hope.
Get going to where, exactly? The whole of Cocoon's against us. No matter how far we run, there's no escape. That Seath clock, it's still a ticket.
Okay, so this is something I didn't get talked about yet, because you know the save picked up after this was first established. So a thief is a lessee who failed to complete their focus, so they end up becoming a crystal monster. There's a lot of thief near the end of the game as well as in the mid game.
You ready?
Early on, I don't think you actually see any, so it's not I think it's like chapter 9 and 10 where they start first appearing in the story. But yeah, and you know, it doesn't actually come up for the main characters, but basically there's a countdown that progresses. You know, you can't avoid it because it's part of the story, so you don't have to actually worry about it at the same time. But there is a countdown. It's kind of random. It's supposed to be random, I think, in the story, but yeah, there is a countdown for becoming a thief. It's indicated by brand progression status. So this is what I was talking about, how the Crystarium, you know, grid is better than the Spear grid, because you can just hold down the button and let it go. Let's see. Okay, we can't advance more right now in this one. Well, we got very important skills for it, you know, which is deprotect and de-shell. Now let's take a look at our paradigms. Okay, here we already have one. Good. All right. Yeah, so that's the path Hope went up on. You can't follow along.
But at least it's not the end of the line.
So during some sequences, some flashback sequences, you can actually control the party. I think the only flashback sequences that were controllable were in chapter 1 or 2. And you can actually see future party members at that point, but they won't pop up, you know, showing that they're future party members.
I think a big one's coming.
They didn't disappoint this year.
So, as you saw in the data log, there's a section called the 13 Days, which is actually really important because not only is this an important story plot point in 13, but it's actually a plot point in Lightning Returns. The reason why it's important there is because you have normally 13 days before the game reaches its in-game state.
And you call
yourself.
But you can get a bonus 14th day, which allows the access to the actual ending.
Sorry.
That one, we will go into that one more
But I really
when we
gotta
get when we,
guard
when
you.
we reach Lightning Returns.
Sir.
Well, lucky for you, your shift just ended. Pack it up and go home.
But, sir.
SciComm found something in the vestige nearby. They don't want the Guardian Corps here stepping on their toes. Huh. I'm sure you heard about the accident at the Uriday Gorge energy plant, and how it has the SciComm lads in a tizzy.
Yeah. More incident than accident. Something pulse-related.
You're taking tomorrow off?
Sir, for my birthday, sir. My sister, she insisted on it.
21, huh? Maybe it's a good time to send off that letter of recommendation for officer training.
Lieutenant.
You're past due for a promotion, Farron. Think of your sister and your future, and keep your nose out of trouble.
Out of SciComm business, you mean?
Yeah, nothing good'll come of it.
Boys, you were right.
But grief. Whoa, look at that one! Whoa, whoa, ho!
Yeah.
Oh, right. You
See?
go, Lieutenant.
Okay, we'll shift it back to Lightning.
Just
So, going by this, we should be extremely close to getting hurt at Dolan.
eventually.
Story-wise, it goes Snow, Lightning, Saz, Hope, Vanille, and the last party member. Wait, no, actually, no, I got the order wrong. It should be Saz, then the last party member, then Hope, and with Vanille as the last one. We finally get access to Hope as a party member. Although I remember correctly, he was temporarily playable in Chapter 2. And you notice the CP costs have gone up big time. But it's also okay. It's okay. The gains you get at this point also go up. Now this is actually a very interesting mechanic, because if you have a debuffer in a party and the debuffs are active, you get more ATB gauge. All right, let's take a look at our paradigms. That might be useful. All right, make a save game.
All the junk around here came from Pulse, didn't it?
Yeah, free Libroscope. So it doesn't actually matter much the little text for the bestiary, because you want what you want to know most of the time for these guys is what they're actually weak against.
This stuff is what was left over from the scrap that Bao Si took from Pulse to repair Cocoon.
Wow. Complete bitch mode.
Stop now.
Well, it's good that this happened because I could show what I'm talking about with the retries. So there is no real true game over in this game because you always can retry and go back to spawn, reconsider your abilities and all that. This might be a hard one to avoid, so we may have to just fight it out. Let's see, we can get lightning and water, okay. Hey, I'm not sure what that one shot. Let's spin that electro kick. Fucking ow, yeah. That was okay. That's what's doing the one-shotting. We gotta figure out how to get past that. Maybe it's Deceptisol. Nah, I don't think we need that this early on. Deceptisol and Fortisol are more for mid and late game spawns to avoid.
You want something?
Damn. Can't get past them. Okay, we just survived that somehow. That double electro kick hurts.
Stay sharp.
Let's see, I don't remember we can actually upgrade our weapons right now. Let's see. Well, let me Google this because I forgot how to we're supposed to upgrade. Let's see, weapon leveling. Let's see here. Oh, okay, so you need the Omni Kit in Chapter 4, which we are in. We should be in it anyway. And I think that's actually not very far from now. So we'll keep on going ahead. So there's actually a way to, there's a specific way to really min-max the weapon upgrades, especially early on. But I don't think you have the items that you can get the items at this point that really allow you to power up, superpower a weapon. Also, something to note about the abilities is it'll actually automatically select the best one, even if you're on a character that's not the lead character in a party. Like it automatically picked the Blitz because that's an AOE one, and there's a bunch of AOE characters right there. Now this is an interesting enemy. It's one you gotta stagger versus getting actual damage in on. It's pretty resistant until then. Okay, 150% stagger.
Stay sharp.
The hell you say, Hope?
Can we get through this way, you think? You know where you're going, right?
I've been here on missions before.
Missions? Nothing to do with the Purge, though.
The Purge is SciComm's baby. Our military is split into two arms. The public
Plot
security
exposition!
known as SciComm, and the Guardian Corps. I was Guardian Corps, Bodum Security Regiment.
I keep forgetting that's how you pronounce it. Also, I was reading its bottom.
If you're not SciComm, then why did you board the train?
For Sarah.
So this is something that becomes more apparent in 13.2 as well as Lightning Returns, but the love Sarah and Lightning have for each other sisters is one of the biggest driving forces of the plot.
Will be returned upon arrival.
Like both Lightning and Snow's been these, all of 13, bickering and trying to save Sarah and complete their focus. And 13-2 is Lightning, Sarah's search for Lightning. And Lightning Returns is about, continuing the events of 13-2. You'll see when we get to that point.
I want to be purged.
Only civs get purged. Sanctum staff and soldiers are exempt. Huh?
Then I quit.
Line up.
So this is actually one of the many clues in the game about the truth of the purgings. Doesn't tell you the entire thing, but it tells you that the purges aren't exactly benevolent.
I volunteered.
Really? You don't look ready to go quiet into that good night.
You want quiet? You better take the next train.
Well, now I really want to see what you're up to.
I had to rescue Sarah before they transported the vestige to Pulse, and out of my reach. My only chance to save her was to join the Purge.
You're telling me you got on that train so you could save your sister? That's crazy. I could never do something like that.
It's not a question of can or can't. There are some things in life you just do.
Easy for someone like you to say.
Better watch your mouth.
She left me.
One, two, three. We go.
What are you up to? Hey! Wait up! Can't keep up with this girl.
And no, you're not imagining it. A chocobo chick is messing around in his hair. Wait, was it hard locked off to where we cannot actually... I guess it was locked off until we got to this point where you could actually see its upgrades. Like when we had him control from a few minutes ago, yeah. We couldn't, learn faith and bravery. And now he's got access to it. I don't know. I don't remember it being like that, but it's whatever. So this is something that can happen in the game. It's something you have seen in 12, but it's also more noticeable here. You can actually interrupt fights between enemies and get free hits in on all of them.
Not bad.
And they also start out with damage as well. This is actually key to some late game encounters.
Follow the old man's lead.
So this could be a little bit more annoying about a, you know, a commando. Something to note about Saboteur is it's actually, you know, mechanically speaking, it can actually be a replacement for commando in the sense that it'll stop the gauge slowdown. You know, it'll stop the decay of stagger. So a Saboteur commando team can be very interesting to use, as well as having a, you know, Saboteur in the deck period.
Go, girl. We got this, Vanille. Never seen a rig like this before. Here we go. Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa! I knew that would happen.
So your nose is actually pretty close to where Lightning and Hope are.
What now?
What now, she asked. We haul ass, that's what. I'm gonna try to skip these guys, because honestly right now it's kind of a slog to take these guys out. Yep, we got caught anyway. We got blue screen, so yeah, let's go for it. One of the few times you want to see a blue screen, you know?
We got this, Vanille. Go, girl.
Ah, damn it. I was trying to dodge that. Okay, so we gotta figure out how to get past these guys.
Run out.
Damn, he backed right into us. Little shit.
Holding up, kiddo. Follow the old man's lead.
No, I hate that damn electro kick.
Finally run out.
Straight wiping us. This is actually one of the biggest flaws of the combat system in 13. Is if the party leader gets killed, it's automatic game over. And it was stupid in 2010. It's still stupid now. And I'm very glad they fixed this in 13.2, where it's not game over.
This should do it. Huh? Whew. Piece of cake.
Bird treats everything from Pulse as evil, doesn't it?
And we caught up to the Hope. Oh, okay. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to take it for just a second, and they paused the the animation. Keep the audio going though, so that's weird.
Leave me alone.
Hey.
So I guess 13 is just not a friendly game towards alt-tabbing.
Pointless. Can't keep up. Can't get home. It's over for me.
It's not over. We'll get you home.
I don't have one. Now that Mom is.
What about your dad?
So, you know, this is a Final Fantasy game, so yeah, it's impossible to have a damn main character that doesn't have parental issues.
Still believe in that
Like, look what we just went through in 10. Entire damn game is all, nothing but daddy issues.
Who are you calling kid? You? What'd you wish for?
That next year, your father could come with us.
Why? It's better like this. We don't need him. That night, they found the Fal'Cie in the Bodum vestige. The next day, soldiers sealed off the town, and we couldn't get back to Palom Polum. They forced us onto the train with everyone else. My mom, she was frantic. She wanted to get us home, so she tried to fight. She got tricked by Snow.
So this is it. So this is an event that happens during Chapter 1.
Get you home, okay? Your dad's gotta be
Snow,
worried.
Nora does die in this process. Process of trying to resist.
He doesn't.
Any father cares.
Sass?
It's nothing. Forget it.
Come with me, okay?
This ought to do it. We've got time. Get you back home.
Yeah. So this is Sal's big story subplot is he's trying to rescue his son who's turned into a crystal. Wait, no, his son's actually held captive at this point. Sorry. At one point he will turn into a crystal. So yeah. And we got Hope back in the party, so let's take a look at our paradigms. Yep, Tri-Disaster, Superiority, Thaumaturgy. Now, Smart Bomb is actually really interesting because you get the bonuses of Ravager on top of the debuffs and chain slowing of Saboteur. And it's actually particularly useful when against post-work soldiers.
Hold it together.
Okay, new weapon for him. Okay, so just leave it for now. As the story progresses, you get access to more gear, both in new shops as well as old ones. And this is also a great shop, if I remember correctly, to get replacement level 1s for early game gear.
Wisdom does come with age.
There's something up there.
Ah, damn it, they got you caught up. Dicks.
Come to Papa.
These guys are annoying at this point. And they get much more annoying later on. Ugh.
Changing gears.
Might have to rearrange our paradigm decks. There we go. That should help a lot.
A warship from Pulse.
You mean they made it this far?
Of course not. Not during the war, not since. They might have tried, but none of their forces made it into Cocoon. They only damaged the outer rim. Then the Sanctum's Fal'Cie pushed them back. What'd you, sleep through history?
More or less. So, what's a ship from
Keep an eye on that. Keep note of that line, because that's going to make me have a lot more meaning later on.
In places like the Hanging Edge. So the Fal'Cie, they gathered up scrap from Pulse and used it for rebuilding here. This is what was left. A bunch of garbage.
Who'd have thunk? A Pulse Fal'Cie and who knows what mixed in with all the trash.
Who'd have thunk?
Okay,
I'm gonna go peek ahead.
she didn't lead the party then.
Do me a favor. Stop wandering off and stay where I can keep my eye on you.
So we're just gonna keep going on and on. There's a better leveling, level grinding spots later on in the story.
Welcome to the party.
You miss us?
Would it kill her to smile?
Time to move.
I think we still have access to... Yes, still have access to Smart Bomb. Damn, keep running at me.
Go.
Damn, useful. Let's see. We should probably spend some points. Don't have enough.
Doing good.
Get off me, you little shits. I want this loot. Good chance gave me that to make me fight.
Just need to get through here.
No, just keep running. Don't need whatever that is that bad.
Hurry up.
What do you suppose that is?
What is that?
pulse armament.
pissed off machine.
And that's bad for us, isn't it?
You have eyes, don't you?
So he's half against physical magic. Okay, and this is where we get the weapon upgrades. There we go. That was a little bit too close. Going down.
Thought we were goners. You all right?
I think so. Incoming.
Apparently he's so fucking pissed.
Hold it together. Change in the play. Changing gears. Hold it together.
So Steam Clean would remove a debuff he put on it.
Changing gears.
I think you can actually use that to force the Dreadnought class enemies into doing what you want.
Change in the play.
Let's see. Doesn't have that many hit points left. Okay. Just seems like he does. Oh my god. Oh wait, we got it. I thought he got that last hit off and got us. Anyway, we got access to the Omni Kit, which allows us to upgrade weapons and a new shop. And see, Medic for Lightning and Commando for Saws. Which makes Stagger much more dangerous because now we have 2 commandos with this comp.
Isn't it?
Got me. Not even the Corps has access to intel on Pulse. Soldiers in the field fight blind.
Yeah, I noticed that. But don't you need to know exactly what you're up against?
Target's a target.
You like to keep it simple, don't you?
I stick to my goal.
As long as you have a goal, you can fight?
You can stay alive.
Got a lot of Crystarium points. Nah, can't get him blitz. So roll levels are how you level up a roll. If I remember correctly, it's required in order to increase the effectiveness of the character on that roll, as well as access to the next tier. When you have something unlocked for more Crystarium development. Okay, safe spot up ahead. I swear, Lightning just loves running off for no reason, huh? Alright, so we're going to stop here and pick up next time. It's a good spot to stop, and I may do some off-screen grinding because this next section again can be a little bit rough if you're just a wee bit underdeveloped. And it's a great spot to really grind out some of these levels and everything. So anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.